I personally am a proponent of decriminalizing marijuana throughout the state. I do not believe marijuana should have ever been a criminal offense to begin with. It is a plant. It is a natural plant. And when you buy, or actually if you grow your own marijuana, it has not been tainted by chemicals. Tobacco, which is an actual drug in my opinion, because they actually inject it with nicotine, they inject it with, actual carcinogens. That is treated more humanely. You might be shunned by people because you smoke or something, but you're not arrested. Whereas with marijuana, something that is actually less toxic and less dangerous to you and to your environment, as long as it's done as a normal crop. The only reason marijuana has gotten a bad rap, well, okay, we can go back to the 20s when it originally got a bad reputation, because it basically interfered with when pharmaceuticals started taking place, and marijuana is a natural anxiolytic. It's a natural anti-anxiety. It has a lot of medicinal purposes. Under Ronald Reagan, they actually had a program to discredit the concept of medical marijuana, but they couldn't. So they buried it. And to this day, there's this one gentleman who still gets his marijuana cigarettes from the federal government. And because that's how well it worked. And since he was part of the initial program, they had to keep it going. So I'm actually a proponent of completely decriminalizing marijuana. Once you decriminalize it on a recreational level as well as a pharmaceutical level, I know that there are some who, I do understand that the state of California is already going to tax medical marijuana. I do not believe the county should on top of that, because it is a pharmaceutical. I see it on that level. If there's a prescription, it is then a pharmaceutical. Recreational marijuana, I believe, should be taxed, but that's only like you would with any other product that's being sold, like tobacco, like alcohol. It also, when you do something like that, when you decriminalize marijuana, it reduces the incentive for illegal marijuana fields in our federal parks, our state parks, where there's actually damage to the soil, to the watershed, and you actually have gang violence that comes up from Southern California and south of the border in order to use our federal lands and to damage them permanently. So just strictly by decriminalizing it, just period, no matter what the amount is, I believe we would take care of a lot of those problems.
Let me say specifically of the problem. The probation office Department of Probation makes recommendations to judges and makes recommendations that people be sent back to prison. That has a very big cost to it. It's probably over $10 million a year in our county, in terms of prison costs and additional probation costs. Would you as a supervisor join the other supervisors or make a recommendation or a instruction for the county probation department to stop sending people back to jail or testing them for marijuana while on probation and parole?
Absolutely, because we actually have that within our power. I mean, if we can actually choose as a county not to notify ICE if there is somebody here illegally that we've arrested on a misdemeanor, and we as a county once upon a time chose not to notify ICE. I don't know if that's changed. I know there's been pressure to change that. I know it is within our discretion, and it's since I do honestly believe that marijuana is not a criminal offense, to use that basically as a cudgel against people that you just want to punish. Unfortunately, there's a lot of money in our jail systems, and a lot of jails are going privately owned, which I also strongly disagree with, because then you've got this conflict of interest of, the jail doesn't want you to behave because then they lose money if you leave and you stay gone. So I would absolutely push for, and I would strongly encourage the other members of the board to make it a non-issue. If they were around, just pulled over and drug tested positive for marijuana. I do not see what that has to do with their original crime.